Bonjour, Your Excellency, Vice President Duncan. Ms. Verberg, thank you so much for the opportunity to present the 2017 Global Nutrition Report. The Global Nutrition Report was launched 4 days ago in Milan at the Global Summit for Nutrition, and it's a real pleasure to be here among this very distinguished audience. The Global Nutrition Report is an independent report with a mission to create accountability for action to end all forms of malnutrition. The statistics on this slide are startling. I want you all to just look at these again. These are your global statistics of nutrition. We have 2 billion people who lack key micronutrients like vitamin A and iron. 2 billion people who are overweight or obese. It's 2 billion people on the planet. 155 million children stunted, and 41 million children who are overweight, and 52 million children who are wasted. We are dealing with a massive universal burden, and no country is immune. And now we're seeing further compromised nutritional status with some of the famines happening in Yemen, Nigeria, Somalia, South Sudan, and other countries reeling from conflict like Sudan and Venezuela. The GNR report shows that the world is off course to meet the nutrition targets it set out for itself. That's the World Health Assembly targets and the Sustainable Development Goals Target 2.2 to end all forms of malnutrition by 2030. If you just look at this slide, there's too much gray and red. Red is no progress being made or reversal of progress, and gray is no data to track progress. And while we can see that stunting, wasting, we're on the decline, it's much too slow. We need faster responses, faster action. We also know that very few countries are on track to meet the World Health Assembly target for anemia and halting the rise of overweight and obesity, as you can see from the red bars and the 5 bottom bars. Of the 51 sun countries that we have data for, the picture is a bit different, but somewhat the same as the previous slide, with some glimmers of hope. We see that stunting, wasting, childhood overweight, progress is being made in sun countries due to your commitment. But we still have very few countries who have the ability to address the overweight and obesity pandemic and the diabetes pandemic, as you can see in the last 4 bars. Exclusive breastfeeding is a mixed picture. What we can see is that with exclusive breastfeeding, of the 20 countries that are on track to meet the exclusive breastfeeding target, 14 of those 20 countries are on track, and they're sun countries. So congratulations for that. They're not showing all the numbers here, sorry about that. So this year, the Global Nutrition Report turned to the vision of the Sustainable Development Goals, the SDGs, which calls on the world to approach development differently. That is, to see the development across the goals as part of an integrated whole, and that each goal is essential for what we, as global citizens, would agree is a better and more equitable world. The goals call for everyone connecting together to work towards achieving the goals and to do so in a universal way, one that leaves no one behind on the path towards sustainable development. Nutrition is central to that path. In this year's report, we asked ourselves, what should we be doing differently in nutrition in order to hold ourselves accountable for helping to deliver development across the SDGs? We have known for a long time that nutrition takes many sectors, many disciplines, many actors to tackle the multiple burdens of malnutrition. There's nothing new to this story. However, what is new is about how we can deliver the 17 Sustainable Development Goals through shared action. It's not about what other sectors can do for you to achieve your nutrition goals. It's what you can do for other sectors to achieve their goals. But this SDG agenda and this approach requires enormous practical implications of what we do and how we do it to ensure a successful and what I hope is a one-time only UN Decade of Action for Nutrition. So how do we ensure that this decade is the decade of impact? My slides are not working. They're usually prettier than this, so I apologize for that. They're only showing half of my slides, but it doesn't matter. So how do we ensure that this decade is a decade of impact? Well, we must have integrated action. As part of this year's GNR, we created a roadmap for this integration using the SDGs as a framework. We went through each and every SDG and asked ourselves, how can nutrition action help achieve this goal? And how does each goal influence nutrition? And when we did this exercise, we came across 5 areas where there are shared agendas with nutrition, and I'll walk you briefly through those 5 areas now. First, nutrition can help deliver on more sustainable food production. That includes climate change objectives, the decarbonization agenda. Right now, COP is going on in Bonn. We need also more species diversity in land and seeds for diverse diets. So that's our first action. The second action is the infrastructure agenda. As my hero, Dr. Asina, had said, nutrition can improve the gray matter infrastructure. If we want to build knowledge-based economies, we talk a lot about agriculture-led growth economies. What about knowledge-based economies? We need that gray matter infrastructure. We also need systems infrastructure, such as technology, systems, roads, sanitation, and electricity, to deliver services such as food, health, energy, to drive economic growth. The health agenda is indivisible for nutrition. Moreover, better nutrition would ensure that the health system is not so burdened. Yet there's so much more that the health system can do in not only treating disease, but preventing undernutrition and diet-related non-communicable diseases, promotion of exclusive breastfeeding, to management of cardiovascular disease. We need to build better health systems. The fourth is equity and inclusion being central to nutrition. We need to address poverty. There's still some being left behind. We absolutely need to eradicate poverty if we want to see nutrition improve. We need quality education. We need women's empowerment, gender equality, and we need to build workforces and economic growth. And the fifth action that we found was that nutrition is essential for peace and stability. We have seen in the last 12 months the impacts of conflict and social unrest on undernutrition, as FAO reported last month. Some countries are on their knees, and we need to deal with that. Investing in food security and the fair distribution of natural resources is critical for both nutrition resiliency and reduced fragility. The other piece of the report that we found was looking at, really sorry about this, the financial tracking data, which you cannot see. So just imagine and pick up the report and read it. The tracking data, we call and show that there's a need for more financing. The overseas development assistance going towards undernutrition is 0.5%. The overseas development assistance going towards the obesity and NCD agenda is 0.1%. That's a rounding error. There's too little going in. What this graph does show is that there has been substantive commitments by donors like the United States, UK, Canada, the EU, and others, and they've been investing a lot in these nutrition-sensitive areas, surprisingly. But we need more. We need more financing. We need more going into the obesity NCD agenda. We also conducted a budget analysis looking at some of the sun countries. If we want to flip to the next slide, which you can kind of see. 37 sun countries did a budget analysis looking at their government budgets across nutrition-sensitive investments. And while there's a lot of variability, some countries are spending over 10% of their entire general government budget towards nutrition, and this should be commended. Yeah, it's great. And then the third data piece that we really focus on in the GNR is commitments, making meaningful commitments. The Nutrition for Growth, which you again cannot see, so imagine, stakeholder responses are waning. So the Nutrition for Growth Compact in 2013, many stakeholders came together to make commitments like they did in Milan 4 days ago, but tracking their responses, assessing their progress is waning seriously. And of the 203 commitments made during the N4G Compact, only 36% have been met or are on track. So we need better commitments. So what do we do? What do we do differently? First, we need to be you can move forward. So first, we need to be accountable for action. We need to take on action that tackles both undernutrition and NCDs or obesity and other development goals, or what we call double or triple duty actions in the Global Nutrition Report. So what do double and triple duty actions mean? Well, it means engaging with unusual suspects, those you normally don't work with. If you look across those 5 areas, I want all of you to reach out to someone who works in those 5 areas and ask them what you can do for them to achieve their goals. Go to a conference where you know no one in the room. You all know each other, you're friends, you've been coming to the Sun Global Gathering for 5 years. Go to COP after this. Meet people that you've never met. If you work in long-term development, reach across the aisle to the humanitarian community and see how you can join forces. So we need to take action, double and triple duty action, and engage new partners. Second, we need to be accountable for integrated action for financing that aims to achieve universal outcomes. Funders, invest in these double and triple duty actions and be innovative in your funding. Start thinking about systems funding, funding food systems, health systems. That's really going to drive down the burdens of malnutrition. Third, be accountable for embedding SMART commitments, specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. And keep your promises. Ensure that those SMART commitments are delivered. We've been playing around too long. We need to get smart, and we need to make smart commitments, and we need to track them, and we need to promise to deliver on them. Fourth, be accountable for better, more regular, detailed and disaggregated data across all forms of malnutrition to ensure that no one is left behind. What do I mean by disaggregated data? Data where you can see where people are living in poverty, geography, wealth, urban-rural divides, disability, age. We need more disaggregated data to see where people are living and what they're dealing with. This detailed data collection and analysis across these different disparities, we need to look at them closely, we need to take action, and we need to readjust programs and investments when we see these types of data. So my last slide, although the slides are completely irrelevant, sorry everybody. I hope that you all pick up the report and read it. We really tried to frame what nutrition can do in the 2030 agenda, and we all need to rally around that. This is our social contract. This is our grand human endeavor. So let's do this in the spirit of not just achieving nutrition goals, but achieving the sustainable development goals. Let's work to mainstream nutrition So it's commonplace to have optimal nutrition. So we don't need to gather together and talk about the burden. Let's make nutrition have staying power. Let's make it our social contract. Thank you.